what does gutsy mean to you?
Yes. So gutsy to me is really being bold and being willing to make changes for the better. So, you might have guessed I'm in operations, I'm a data person through and through. Um, but that data is telling a story. Once we know that story, we have to take action. And that's where the boldness comes. And sometimes it's things we don't really want to hear, but that's the truth. So if we want to grow, want to get to that next level, we have to pay attention to that story and take those bold moves.
Welcome to the Gutsy Podcast, the show where you learn how to own what you actually want and shift the mind junk that's been holding you back. I'm LauraAura, keynote speaker, coach, and your guide to help you get clarity, build confidence, and make the gutsy moves that change your life. Each week, I'm going to help you simplify things by teaching you how to get out of your head while stepping into action. This way you can achieve all those life shifts that you've been overthinking. Your desire, that drives you. But gutsy, that's what gets it done. If your calendar is packed, your to-do list never ends, and you're wondering, how on earth am I supposed to be a CEO and do everything else? This episode is for you. I'm joined by business strategist Donna Dube, and she's walking us through 6 habits that help you lead your business without losing your mind or your weekends. From her signature CEO Power Hour to rethinking your calendar, energy, and daily tasks, this conversation is full of simple, yes, very simple, practical shifts to help you stop spiraling and start leading. Donna is a certified director of operations, business growth strategist, and the host of the CEO Amplify podcast. She helps small business owners make a bigger impact and maximize profit by working smarter, not harder. With years of experience in project management and strategic growth planning for 6- and 7-figure businesses, Donna empowers entrepreneurs to escape the hustle. Yes, I'm here for that. Step into confident CEO leadership and build momentum through focused strategy and systems. Look, whether you believe it or not, you're the CEO of your business, and that requires dedicated time every week to think and act like a CEO. And today, Donna gives us 6 habits for you to start acting like that CEO. Let's get into it. Hey, Donna, welcome to the Gutsy Podcast.
Thank you, Laura. So happy to be here.
Absolutely. I love how direct, everyone knows what we're about to learn today, right? 6 habits to dominate your week. I don't know anybody that doesn't want to dominate their week. So incredibly relatable. So thanks for being here with us. I have to maybe wonder, was this concept born from you not dominating your week? And did you create a system because of that?
150% yes.
Okay. Tell us about that journey, my friend.
Yes. So, like many entrepreneurs, when we start our business, it's just us solo. And we're going to do all the things and we're going to conquer the world, right?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yes. So, yes, I had my passion, but being able to handle all the pieces behind running a business, well, I enjoyed it. I was drowning, working way more than I should have, right? Family and friends saying, Donna, we haven't been to lunch in forever. I know you're doing this thing, but can we see you? Right. And so I was literally on a one-way track to burnout. Clients were great. Money was rolling in, but I was working all the time. Hamster wheel, right? Lots of ideas. I can't implement them fast enough. And the truth is, I was headed for burnout. And it really stung, to be honest with you, when my husband said to me, something needs to change or this family is going to break. Ooh, I didn't like that because from where I was sitting, this was going good, right? I didn't see burnout coming. I didn't see the effect I was having on my family and my friends, but he obviously did. And so that's when I really had to take a step back and say, okay, how can I grow this business without me having to be in everything? And yes, the first piece of advice people tell you is hire a team, right? Hire a VA, hire social media, hire, and they'll solve all your problems. And yes, hiring is a good thing, and I'm not against hiring, but it depends on the situation and what you need to do. And so what I did first was to really look at how I was using my time and how could I use it more like a CEO rather than an operator or an employee in my business, which is what I was really doing.
What would you say are the biggest differences between operating as a CEO versus operating as an employee in your business? Because I think that's incredibly relatable. We start these businesses to have freedom and flexibility
Mm.
and, income growth and just all these things. And we end up getting just sucked all the way down into the weeds. And so what would you say are the key differences between acting up and showing as a CEO versus an employee?
Yeah. So, a few things that really stand out to me is how you spend your time and what you spend your time on. So, whether you have 15 hours in your week, 20 hours, 25, 40, whatever, it doesn't matter the amount of time, but how are you spending it? Because when you're operating like the CEO, you're thinking about vision, you're thinking about strategy, you're thinking about partnerships and sales. When you're acting as an employee, you're thinking about, right, here's the 15 next little tasks that need to be done. Fix this email, change the website, make sure that invoice gets out, follow up with this person, make a social media post. And those are all good things. I'm not saying they don't need to be done in your business, but not by you. And so that's where the real thought and mindset shift happens is, am I acting like the visionary and the strategist? Where is this company going in the next year and the next 3 years? And how am I positioning myself to move it in that direction?
What are your thoughts on, we not only do we get down in the weeds, but boy, do we love to control those weeds.
Yes.
Man, do we love to control what that email looks like and
Yeah.
the color on our website and how the social media post looks and is curated on Instagram and just all these like very, very nitty gritty details because like we want it to be perfect. Help me bust that. How do we break out of that control of wanting to do all those things ourselves?
Yeah. So I have two thoughts on this. I tell my clients all the time. My background before getting into entrepreneurship was healthcare, and I was an ICU nurse for a number of years. And so that's where life and death decisions are really made. There's not very many life and death decisions that are being made in our business.
Are you telling me that our social media post is not going to make or break everything, Donna? Like,
You got it.
how
Yep.
dare you insist on this?
Right. And so just keeping that top of mind that yes, that not might not be the exact yellow that you wanted, but what's the effect actually going to be? Is anyone going to know other than you? Probably not, right? And there's room to then go to your team and say, great, thanks for that. That was great. I love those posts. The messaging was excellent. Would you mind using this hex code next time instead of that? Right? So there's a chance for that to improve over time. And it's, again, not life and death. The second piece of that is we have to look at the numbers. So if I have a social media assistant and I've paid her $25 an hour to make me some Canva images and posts, if I go back in Canva and adjust things and make them just the way I want, I've now paid her to do it or him. And I'm also paying for my time, which is much more expensive than my social media assistant. And so at the end of the day, if I'm spending 3 hours a week at $100 or $200 an hour, fixing things that I'm asking my team to do, that's costing me time, money, and opportunity.
Yeah.
Because the hours should be spent on growth level tasks, those CEO level tasks that's actually going to move the needle forward in my business.
Yeah, for sure. And this is really where leadership comes into play and recognizing that, right? Like how important is it for me to be in there doing it? If I'm doing those things, I can't be steering the ship.
Yes.
I can't be navigating where we're going or thinking about the next right idea or the next right offer when I'm constantly head down tinkering with hex codes.
Yes,
you know?
100%. Yes, yes. And the other thing that I like to tell myself as well as my clients is that if I can pay someone or I can automate it and it gets me 80% of the way there, I'm golden. Because that's 80% of the time I didn't have to spend there. I could spend on something else, right? So not look for perfection. If it's 80%, I'm good.
I love that rule. Are there certain pockets or certain tasks that you find the majority of CEOs, business owners get kind of trapped in?
Yes, for sure. Some get trapped in the bookkeeping, but quickly unless they really like numbers, they're okay to outsource that. Right. And they don't
Yeah.
usually go back in QuickBooks and start messing and putting things in different lines. And usually, once they've outsourced the bookkeeping, it's good. But where we get trapped is the social media, the emails, the, my web page looking like this or like that. Instead of spending that time on making those connections, on those partnerships, on reaching out to hot leads, right? We're stuck in the day to day, I will say, maintenance tasks, following up on invoices, making sure there are email sequences, building this funnel if that's something we do in our business. And then depending on the size of the business, sometimes we get stuck in sales when we really need to hire someone to do those calls for us.
Gotcha. So sales, administrative, and marketing sound like the three buckets where
The three
people
buckets, yes.
get kind of stuck in. Yeah, I can relate to that. With a background in branding, girl, I
Mm,
can tinker.
yes.
I can tinker, but I've realized like, gosh, this is just no one's going to care as much as
Mm,
I do right now about the spacing between the letters in this font. You know what I mean? Like it's
yes.
just so trivial.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I have to say this, and I'd be curious on your take on this. I think sometimes we stay in those zones because it gives us a sense of control.
100%.
Especially if we're not where we want to be yet, or like maybe we're stuck in a productivity loop where that's like how we define ourselves or where we get our joy. Like sometimes that gives you a little bit of a boost. The problem is we don't come out of it, and then becomes a habit.
Yes, 100%. It's easier for our brain to do the small things that we already know, we already enjoy, than to actually take that time, set aside time, and think about something that's bigger and maybe harder for us to comprehend how we're going to move forward, right?
Hmm.
For you being creative, it's easy for you to go in Canva or whatever tool you use and play. That's something you enjoy, right? But then to
Right.
actually sit back and say, right now, which offer is giving me the best return on investment? That may not sound as sexy to you.
Yeah. And I can tell you, I'm also not tinkering in QuickBooks as well. That was 100% spot on.
Yeah.
I think because that relates to the IRS, and none of us want to be in that position. So,
Yes.
Adobe InDesign and or Canva, nobody's coming to knock on the door.
Well, true. Yes.
The IRS might be. What are we avoiding or resisting when we're not giving those things up? When we're not stepping into that CEO role?
Mm-hmm. The biggest thing is opportunities, right?
Mm,
Opportunities to make connections, to make referrals, to get your brand and your business out into the world, to make partnerships with others, to educate in other groups, other masterminds, other classes about, your skills and your zone of genius. So it's really opportunity. And it's not always money. Sometimes it's that business bestie or that connection who's then going to refer you to somebody else, right? It's that one to many
yeah.
mindset and outlook.
So if we know that, which I think the majority of owners do, why are we staying head down and tinkering with all this stuff instead?
Mm-hmm. I think part of it is that we need to be intentional. So, I'll give you an example. When you get up in the morning, you head over to your laptop, you're ready to start work. Most of us will go straight to our email, open the inbox, and we start going through. And we might read a few emails and think, oh, yeah, I should do something with that. But we don't answer right away. It stays there. And then ding, ding, the phone is pinging. So we check that. Oh, someone on our team from Slack wants something. Or, oh, I got a DM from this person over here. Let me go check them out. And we're responding to everyone else's
Mm,
requests. Next thing you know, it's 2 or 3 p.m. We're fried, like our brain is exhausted because we've just been hopping from one thing to another all day. And those priorities that we actually have for our business, those are long gone. Those will have to be done another day. Right. And so I want you to flip that and instead start your day with your intention. Start your day with your priorities. What's the thing that you need to do today to move your business forward? Make that first hour of your day for you and your business. You feel accomplished when you finish that, and no one else is going to die. Nothing's going to happen if you answer an hour later, right? You can even let your team know, I'm not responding to Slack until this time. Set those boundaries, stick to them, and make that time intentional.
See, that's where it's at. It's setting the boundaries and then upholding them. And
Mm-hmm.
most of the time you're upholding it by yourself. Like
Yes.
no one's coming to do it for you, unless of course you have a coach or a mentor. But even then it's not their responsibility to handhold or babysit. Like
Right.
it has to be a conscious choice. Like what do you really want?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be people pleasing and make sure everyone else's stuff is done and have your business suffer, or do you want to get uncomfortable for a little while, make some new habits, but then all of a sudden you're like, it becomes second nature. It's just that first uncomfortable spot because it's new.
Yes, 100%. Right. But think about it the same thing as if when you take a day off or you take a vacation, hopefully you're not going in your email first thing and everything is okay.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're not comfortable doing it for every day of the week, put it for a couple of days a week. Block it off in your calendar, just like you would a date with your spouse or a ball game for your kids or whatever it is that's important to you. This is important for your business.
Yeah, for sure. I have a funny feeling this might be one of these six habits. So this sounds like a good transition into how help us break down what are these six habits? What are they and how's it impacting?
Yes, for sure. So number one is very similar to yes, what we're just talking about, what I call the CEO power hour. And so really that's one time a week. It does not have to be Monday morning. It can be any time of the week that fits for your schedule. The point is we're creatures of habit. And so we want it to be at the same time each and every week so that we get used to that habit. So what do we do during this hour? It's really a time for us to review and reflect. So we're looking at some top metrics, like 3 to 5, not 14, 3 to 5 top metrics. And then what are we going to do this week to move our business forward and putting that in the calendar? What do we
Mm.
need in terms of self care? Maybe there's something at home we need. Maybe there's something within our business that we need. So it's just 1 hour a week to really set our week up for success. CEO Power Hour.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. No notes on that. I mean, just pure goodness. Um, Notifications off, email closed,
Yes,
put on some great music that you love, have a cup of whatever you love to drink,
exactly.
and just like do the thing. I love it.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Next up.
Next up, yeah. So the next concept is how we approach our to do list. And this is strategically not going from the top to the bottom. So, as an example, many of us have a mile long to do list and we say, right, I've got an hour, I'm going to blast through whatever I can get through. That may be getting things done, but it's not being strategic. The other side of us will sometimes look at our list and we'll cherry pick the things that we feel like doing or that we like doing. Again, not being strategic. And so we use a simple framework similar to the Eisenhower matrix, which really tells us what are the important things and what are the urgent things. And where do I need to be spending my time as CEO? And so this matrix has 4 boxes, and there's a system to how you put this task in those boxes. And then there's one box which you are going to focus on as the CEO, as a leader of your business. The other boxes, some things you're going to let go because they're not giving you a return on investment. You're not enjoying them. Some things you're going to automate or delegate, and other things you may have to look at because they're on pending due date, but it's not something that is revenue generating.
Okay. I know
Right.
the question always comes up in
Yeah.
this space, and maybe this is figured out in that process.
Yeah.
But what about when everything is urgent and everything is important?
Right. So it depends on what definition you give to important and urgent, right? So for me, when I teach this, urgent means it has an impending deadline in a week or two. So certain times of the year we have to give taxes. We have to pay, right? And so if that's coming up, then that's urgent. If it's not done, then it is urgent. Because I want my website ready for next week is not urgent, right? The IRS isn't coming after me. There's no ripple effect of that other than my wishes, right? And so that's how we have to separate urgent or not. And then important is tied directly to revenue. So is this revenue generating? If it's not, then it's not important.
So powerful, so simple too. I love how you're just like simplifying this.
Exactly, because when you have that power hour and you have your list of tasks, you want to quickly be able to know, how do I prioritize what? Right. And you don't want to be exhausted by the time you finish that.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Okay. Number 3.
So then number 3 is sort of a build off of that, which is growth versus maintenance tasks. So if you think of all the things you have to do in your business, they fit under one of those 2 buckets, growth or maintenance. And as the CEO, as the leader, you want to be spending as much time as possible in those growth tasks. So things we've talked about, partnerships, sales, if it's one to many, teaching in other groups, podcast guesting, getting visible, speaking on stages, whatever those things are that you do in your business to help bring more new people into your world and help bring in sales. Those are growth level tasks. Maintenance tasks are things like your emails, your social media, your bookkeeping, your invoices. Do they have to happen? Yes, but they keep the lights on. They're not the ones that we want you to be spending most of your time on. And I know if you've got solopreneurs listening, they're like, but hold on just a minute. Who am I going to give this to?
Yes.
Right? I've got all of this. And yes, that is true. But then we have to really narrow down and say, are there strategies that you're doing that aren't bringing you return on investment and therefore need to tweak or let go? And are there other things you're doing? Heard something the other day. If you do the task twice in a week, it's time to find a way to automate it. Right? And so what can you automate? Takes a little time to set it up, but once you have it set up, you no longer have to spend that time on it, and you're not directly hiring a person, in your business to do that. So there are ways around it if your budget is not at a point where you can hire someone at this stage.
I've built businesses in 2 different ways. One that was rooted in the past and one that is anchored in the future. I built my first business off the backbone of my insecurities, deeply rooted beliefs that I wasn't enough, that I needed to say yes even when my body told me to say no. People-pleasing, overachieving, proving myself. And I paid for it in my health, in my time, in my marriage, and in my finances. When I launched the LauraAura brand, I promised myself that I was going to build this one differently. I started to shift the beliefs that once talked me out of my ideas. I started building habits that supported my success instead of sabotaging it. I asked for help. I learned how to pause, and most importantly, I always trusted myself. Turns out, this method, way easier, way more enjoyable, way more successful. Friend, this is the type of work that we go into inside of LauraAlign the Mastermind. This is not about doing more. It's about doing the things that matter. It's about choosing to show up as the person that already has the things that you can see and feel today. If you're tired of circling the same decision, you're done shrinking yourself to stay comfortable, and you're motivated, but you're feeling overwhelmed about where to start, LauraAlign has a seat with your name on it. Let's build this business in a way that rocks your world in the best of ways. Go to LauraAura.com/mastermind to either learn more, or you can just get started with your enrollment today. Yeah, automation for the win in every capacity. I think it's really important to kind of touch too that like automation does not mean taking the human out of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just working smarter, not harder. So like an example of an automation might be, okay, to schedule you here on the Gutsy podcast, right? Like I have a process where I go through all of the applications myself. I'm having the conversation with you. I know what the audience loves to hear. That's a me task.
Yeah.
Everything that happens after that, I don't need to be in every little nook and cranny. So we very intentionally set up a system where once you get the link to schedule, once you're approved, it does that for you. And it even puts the power in you, the guest's hand, to choose a date in my calendar. I've got the calendar set up and blocked off for my actual availability. Then it sends you a calendar invitation, and it also has the prep PDF in it. So you know what to expect, right? Like I'm not sending out all of those emails in every step of that process. That automation doesn't take the human out of it because the tone is very, I wrote the content. It's
you.
Very me.
Yes.
But it's not taking, 3 to 7 minutes of every single day to do this. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot of time, but constantly like kind of trying to be up in the vision and then down in the weeds and up in the vision and down the weeds, it's exhausting. So
Mhm.
just as an example of automation, doesn't have to mean not human. It's just about using that system really intentionally.
Yes. And you can set up the automation so that, it does 3, 4 steps and then it waits for you to come in and, do something. If there's a spot where you feel like, no, I really need to see this before it goes out, or I really want to add this touch to it. I mean, that's easy to do, easy to set up, right? So definitely agree with you that you don't have to totally get rid of the human, but you want to be able to spend as much time as possible in those higher level tasks to move your business forward.
For sure. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Number four.
Number 4, so that feeds right off of that, which is just a way to kind of gamify and measure, am I spending enough time in those growth level tasks? And so it's called the CEO score. And basically, what you're doing is you're giving a dollar value to different tasks in your business based on, whether it's revenue generating or not. So those maintenance level tasks are going to be $10 and $100. The growth level tasks are going to be 1,000 and 10,000. Now, let me clarify. This is not money that you're getting, nor is it money that you're paying someone if they're doing those tasks for you. It's really just a dollar amount, but think about it as your sweat and your equity and your your blood, your sweat and your tears, right? Your time and your effort to have these things completed in your business. So what we do with the CEO score is we say, how much revenue do you want in a year's time? So you get that number. And how many weeks in the year do you want to work? So you divide the revenue you want by the number of weeks you want to work. And that's your CEO score.
Hmm.
And then you try and ensure that you have growth level tasks enough to meet that score each week. Now, it's going to go up and down because maybe you're away at a conference and you did a ton of networking and you spoke on the stage at the conference, right? So that week's going to have a huge number compared to some of your other weeks. But it's just a way to gamify and kind of measure, where am I at and am I spending enough time in growth level tasks for the level of my business?
Okay. So just to make sure I heard right, you're giving maintenance tasks a certain dollar amount and growth a certain dollar amount?
Correct.
Then you're kind of measuring how much time you're spending on these things
Yes.
to see if you're on pace.
Exactly. That's right.
Got it.
So if you have a business that, you want your revenue to be 100,000 a year, you're going to need less time in growth tasks than someone who wants their revenue of 1 million.
Got it.
Right. And so we can see that in our world, because if we look at, big CEOs of big businesses, Nike, Microsoft, Apple, I mean, they are spending all their time in CEO level tasks, right? And I know you're going to say, but hold on a minute, they have a board, they have VPs, like they have a ton of people supporting them, right? We don't have that same in our small business, but the same concept applies.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm also thinking as you're talking, and this is kind of swooping back into 3, but I think it's still relevant here, of like, okay, I'm a solopreneur. No one else is coming to do these things. Do you find it helpful to dedicate a chunk of time or a day to those kind of maintenance tasks? So you're kind of like clumping it all together. Is that more efficient of time, or what do you recommend with that?
Yeah. So that actually goes into the next
Excellent. Right on
habit.
pace.
So you're right on, which is setting up our calendar. I like to call it your scheduling ninja. And so, really setting up your calendar for your success. So, how we do this is we start with a blank calendar. And the first thing we put in there is our family and our life commitments. Remember, I said at the beginning of the show that I was on a one-way track to burnout,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because my calendar was set up for my business only, right? So we don't want to do that. We don't want to fit life in the cracks between our business. We want to have life there. So we put life in first. Then we set up what's called your working hours. So when your business is, quote, open. Now, I know if you have an online business, it's open all the time, but when are you going to be at your computer dedicated to working? And that, my friends, does not need to be 9 to 5, right? It's got to be what works for you. If you're a mom and you still have little kids at home, you might break that up into different sessions in the day. You might do more work in the evening when, another spouse is home to take care of little ones. If you've got a sick parent or relative that you're dealing with, you may have to break up your time. And so that's going to change with different seasons of life. But look at it from where you are now. What are the hours you want to work? Put those in your calendar. And then within those, then you're going to set up different blocks of time. And these don't have to be rigid, but for example, maybe on Tuesday morning is your marketing task. The things you're responsible for in the business for marketing, that's going to be your Tuesday morning. Maybe your Wednesday afternoon is admin tasks. If you're still doing some of those maintenance tasks, that's the day for that. Does that mean you can never answer an email? No, of course not. But it's just to get your mind around the fact that, right, this is my time for doing these kind of tasks. And within that, there'll be different tasks to do. So for example, in marketing, sometimes that might be approving something your team did. It might be, reaching out and being a podcast guest for visibility on someone else's podcast, right? So the task within that block will change, but there's 3 systems, if you will, that have to keep running in your business to be successful: marketing, sales, and client delivery. And you need time each and every week on your calendar to make sure those are happening.
Everything that I'm hearing you say is simply intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the business running you, you're running it again.
Yeah.
I think that's where we get very quickly tripped up in business, is like we just become the product of the business. We become the employee in the business. We become we're wearing all the hats and we're trying to figure things out and we're learning stuff and, not able to hire yet. And, we just get sucked down into those weeds. And I love everything that you're sharing, because one, it's simple, but 2, it like brings us back up out and puts us back into intentionality of like, I get to choose how I'm going to use my time. Email doesn't run how much I get done in my day.
Thank you. Yes.
It's all of this is a choice. And I think we forget that we have a choice.
Yes, 100%. Right. And we need time to think. We need time to strategize. We need time to actually say, right, is my messaging fitting with my audience? Is there something my audience needs that I'm not bringing or that I could be bringing, right? That doesn't just happen when we're busy, checking off everything on the to-do list.
Yeah. Yeah. There's two examples here I'd like to share, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, 100%.
With the blocking in time, this is something I had to shift because it was kind of sucking me down into the weeds again.
Okay.
Anytime like an invoice comes in or a subscription renewal or a receipt for this or whatever, we just get those things, right? In emails. Every time those were coming in, I was popping in to take care of it. Oh, stop what I'm doing, go take care of that. Oh, take care of this. And I found if I just create a very simple folder in my email called, wait for it, finances.
Sophisticated.
I mean, it's revolutionary here. When those things come in, I've now trained myself to say, oh, that needs to go in the finance folder. And I just pop it over. And one, it's all organized. So I found that one of the challenges that I was having, or the fears that I was having, is I was going to miss something.
Yes.
So now it's all contained in one place. And then usually once during the week, and then on Sundays, I go into that folder. Okay, what do I need to take care of now? And it gives me such peace of mind to know that it's not lost. I'm not going to forget about it. I'm not going to accidentally delete it. It's in its folder, but also it's not stopping me. Like, it's like brakes and gas like 40 times a day. It's not stopping me anymore, but I had to create that habit. I think almost every single one of these, if not all of them, are habit building.
100%. Yes. Yes.
And I do a similar thing with the Gutsy Collective. So I get notifications when members post in there or comment in there or are asking me questions. And instead of like this kind of knee-jerk reaction, ooh, do it now, ooh, do it now, I don't want to upset them. I'm like, whoa, Laura, I've
Yeah.
set this up to support them, but that doesn't mean that I have to stop everything that I'm doing all the time. I
Yes.
want to respond with intention. I don't want to respond in between things. And so I've set up a rule in my email system that anytime I get something from the Gutsy Collective, it automatically goes into this different folder for the same reason the finances do.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's all contained. And then I can choose to go in and go all in on that space. And I think one of the important things there is like I feel better delivering. I feel
Yes.
better showing up. I feel better like I'm really making a difference and I'm helping and supporting because I'm all in.
Mm-hmm.
That now they get my undivided attention, just like the other task did right before that. So I don't
Yes.
know. Those were just two examples that I wanted to share with that scheduling ninja stuff,
Yes.
because it just requires making a habit and
Yeah.
sticking with it.
Yeah. And what I love about your two examples is they're simple. You
Yeah.
don't need a complicated 27-step funnel, right? It's just a simple put this somewhere so I can come to it later, have an intentional time to come back to it later. And it doesn't need to distract me and fatigue me now. And then I
Yes.
can answer when I'm in that mode and I'm at, at my best and I can give my all to those members.
Yes. Exactly. Such good stuff. All right, we've got one more here.
Yeah. So the last one is really about self care. And I think, especially for women, this is a big issue because we are used to serving and helping everyone else first, and we come last. And so I want to be able to set time aside in my weeks. It doesn't have to be every single week, but for what I need. And that could look different for everybody, right? I have a client who loves to go for massages. And so regularly she books those on her calendar. And massage is okay for me, but it's not my favorite thing. But I like to get out for my daily walks. So that is booked on my calendar. And it's important, and no call is taking it away.
Love it.
And so just figuring out what it is that you need. Is that some quiet time in the morning? Is that time in the evening? Is that, just having time to go book those appointments that you want to get done? Whatever that is you need for self care, figuring that out. And then the part that we miss is communicating it. So whether
Mm,
that's telling your team, your family, your friends, putting it on your calendar, whatever it is, but sharing that with others so that they realize, right, that's not the right time for me to interact with Donna because she's got this thing, but I can do it, at another time. And so just sharing that and helps you also with accountability and helps you stick to it. Because I can remember at the beginning, if you came along and said, right, do you want to meet in the morning? And that's my walk time. Oh, sure. Right. Again, that's me. It's on me to stick to my boundaries. But when I share that, if I have a friend that I walk with, well, now that shifts things because then I'd have to tell her that I can't walk, or my family, well, I took this call instead of right? So just sharing that really makes it real and helps you stick to it.
yeah. I can really appreciate that you added self care into this because it often gets missed, and is very quickly the first thing to go
Mm-hmm.
because it seems like the easy thing to let go of. Well, I got all this other stuff to do. I've got heavy deadlines. I got this to work on. I'll just skip the walk. I'll skip the massage. I'll skip the coffee that I was going to grab with a friend, or whatever that thing is for you. And the reality is, when we prioritize that and we make the time for it, our businesses are always better for it.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time. I've never taken care of myself and had my business suffer because of it.
Yes, it's 100% true, right? And I think the other piece going beyond the self care is just finding your passion again. So for many of us, we had things we really enjoyed doing
Mm,
before we got into business. And then, rightly so, when we started our business, we were kind of flying by the seat of our pants and we didn't have time to do those things. But let's bring them back. I can remember having a client, she used to love salsa dancing, and that was gone for a good 10 years. And, she got to a point where things were running pretty smoothly in her business. And then she started saying, well, I need to add something. I need to do, right. You do need to add something, but not in your business. Look outside of your business. What can you do in your life that will really help you and lift you up, right? So for her, it was dancing, but maybe for someone else, it's art or starting a charity or, volunteering in your community, whatever that is. Don't, let that die just because of your business.
Oh, yes. And more yes. Gosh, I'm strongly agreeing with this because I have done that more times than I care to count, where it's just like the fun outside of business just dissipates.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just cranking stuff out and you're trying to make things work, especially in those early days or when you're in transition. And you just forget that like there's a whole life out there.
Yes.
And it's like, gosh, that life is why I'm doing this work.
Right. Yes,
So
exactly.
what's the point of having this business if I'm just siphoning the life out of my life?
Yeah. Yeah. And I got to a point where, friends or someone would ask me, so how's things going? How is going? And I had nothing to say except related to my business
Work. Yeah.
because that's all there was.
Yeah.
Right. So, yes, now I'm on a mission to help others not get in that same boat.
Yes. So now that you have implemented these in your daily life and in your weekly life, how has this changed that origin story?
Yes.
How is your health? How is your business? How is your home? What has changed in your life because of these things?
Yes. 100% flip. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm perfect. I'm by no means perfect, right? I still have those times when I'm, wait a second, should I be doing this? And so you do have to stay on top of it, but 100% flip. I now have time for my family. I'm present at dinners. I'm available for kids' activities. I get outside and have my walk, which is good for my mind, but also for my body. Right. And so is it perfect? Absolutely not, but 100% better than where I was. Because the truth is, where I was probably ending up just burning the business to the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
So your husband's not saying those things to you anymore. What's he saying to you now?
He's saying, oh, how is business going? Right. Because it's not taking over our home, it's not taking over our relationship and our life.
It's amazing. Gosh. Donna, you are just like a ray of sunshine. You really
Oh,
are. You've got great energy. I love what you have built here. This is such a simplified plan. It's very potent, it's very rich. I want to make sure everyone knows where to find and connect with you and maybe the different ways that you work with people.
yeah, thanks for asking. So you can find me on my website, which is ceoamplify.ca. And if you go there, there's actually a downloadable which fits right in with what we were talking about today, which is the CEO Power Hour playbook. And so if you think, yes, I'd like to implement that hour, but I don't know where to start, this will give you a walkthrough of what exactly to do in that hour, what things you should be looking at, and how to set your week up for success. So you can grab that there. And then in terms of how I work with people, it's usually one-on-one. So one-on-one CEO consulting, or the other side is come into a business that's looking for a director of ops. So someone to sit between the leader and the team to really help manage and lead.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I will make sure that we link that in the show notes because I know somebody's like, please, I need that right away. So we will link that in there. And I got to know, what does gutsy mean to you?
Yes. So gutsy to me is really being bold and being willing to make changes for the better. So, you might have guessed I'm in operations, I'm a data person through and through. But that data is telling a story. Once we know that story, we have to take action. And that's where the boldness comes. And sometimes it's things we don't really want to hear, but that's the truth. So if we want to grow, want to get to that next level, we have to pay attention to that story and take those bold moves.
I think my personal favorite of the 6 habits is the CEO Power Hour because I love information. I love to know what's working. I love to know what to invest in. But I think honestly, the most important one, or the one that's calling me forward right now, is how we approach the to-do list. What is important versus what is urgent. Sometimes I get a little lost down in the weeds because it feels good to just check things off when it's like, no, I actually really need to do the important thing first. I'm super curious to know which of these 6 is calling you forward the most. So reach out to me. My handle on social is @thatLauraAura. Send me a DM. And as always, until I see you next time, stay gutsy.